Hey folks, before we start off, if you would go ahead and subscribe and hit like. We're only 22 subscriptions away to hitting that magic number 100. So we sure would appreciate it if you like these videos to go ahead and subscribe. Our little small group that we've gathered to talk about the book, we're into our 14th or 15th week now. We completed a semester, a small group at our church, and the group says, let's just keep going. So we're plowing on through the summer and getting ready for what we're going to do this fall. And today I don't know really where we're going with normally when I do one of these videos, I like to say, okay, here's where I'm going to start, and here's the point that I'm trying to make. I believe the point that I'm going to try to make is, number one, go ahead and form a small group, stay together for a long enough period of time to where you're really, really comfortable with one another and you can let your guards down and talk from the heart. So that's one point that I hope to make. Another point that I want to make is to find a common goal that's greater than the individuals. Focus your group on that common goal. So I think that's sort of where we're going to be going with this today. So I'll tell you what happened today. We had a really, really interesting meeting today, and I just want to sort of talk to you about this meeting we had today. Our group has tripled in size. I want to tell you the members of the group. We have it's very interesting membership. We have the Tuscaloosa County District Attorney's involved. We got the head basketball coach at Shelton State is involved. We got the president of Shelton State's involved. We've got a newly elected city council member who's involved in the group. We got our 25-year-old former wide receiver at University of Alabama. He says his claim to fame is at one time Devontae Smith was his backup. He said that didn't last for very long. Our young wide receiver, who's now also a small business owner, brought his childhood buddy with him, who's another 25-year-old young man, and this young man's a law student at LSU. He's spending time in Tuscaloosa this summer to do an internship. The barber, one of the barbers in the black community, is a member of our group. Sheriff's deputy, who has been in law enforcement for 38 years. A retired history professor at the University of Alabama, and several small business owners and business people in general. And so that's the makeup of our group, all men, and diverse with regard to what they do. Everything from a college president to a guy that runs a sports fitness center. I mean, all across the board, different types of folks. And we've just been, and we have like a little group me type of a deal to where there's prayer requests during the week. And so not only do we meet during Wednesday, we're also in contact through the week with our group me type of an app. So this group is beginning to gel. Today, when we start off, the district attorney said, I would like to start off and say something that may be disruptive to the group, which we always laugh that the guy occasionally goes into a DA rant, and we get a big kick out of him, and he gets kidded in a good-natured way for doing this. So I told him, well, before we do that, we certainly need to open in prayer because there's just no telling what he was going to say. Well, what was on his heart was over the weekend, we had 2 murders in Tuscaloosa, black on black. And that was the focus of his rant. We have all this people talking about racism and white cops and this and that and the other, and he said it seems to pale in comparison with black on black crime. And so he went off and he gave some statistics, and he was very passionate, and he's a very powerful speaker. And so one of our leaders of our group is this basketball coach, head basketball coach was at Shelton State, which, by the way, is a very, very successful program. He's a very good basketball coach. And so he answered our district attorney, and he was saying that the black on black crime is a pain in the heart in the black community also. It's not like the black community doesn't see this. And he says, he's at a loss of what to do. That how do we solve something like this? And he did point out some issues of ongoing racism, but the key thing we wanted to focus on this day was this horrible thing with black on black crime. And the basketball coach and several other people said there needs to be male role models. Other than athletes and other than rappers, because our 25-year-old guy, as he was saying, that many young people in the black community think they have to either be an athlete or they have to be a rapper, or else the only thing left to do is to go do something that's illegal. And so that sort of centered the conversation. The guy who is 38 years in law enforcement chimed in and said he validated what the district attorney said, and he said his personal life, that he was just a hot mess most of his life, in and out of trouble. And he said what changed his life was not a mindset change, it was a heart change. And so he said what changed my heart was I found Jesus Christ and I dedicated my life to him. Remember, this is a church group. And so we began to talk about what's that going to take. And so in earlier videos and in the book itself, I mentioned that racism is a spiritual problem. And a spiritual problem cannot be addressed with a secular mindset. So the common purpose, the common agreement amongst our group, regardless of age and regardless of race, is a love for the Lord. And how do you get other people to do that in an evangelical type of a way? So the goal is not just to provide a male role model. It's to be able to provide a male role model that can change one's heart, to be able to become more in alignment with spiritual issues versus the secular issues of what kind of work am I going to do. What kind of work am I going to do is important. And so we had a really, really good meeting. And one of the things that we've done as a part of our church's ministry in correctional ministries, totally divorced from this small group, is we're doing some ministry out at the Tuscaloosa County Youth Detention Center. And this coming Saturday, our volunteers at our church are going to be going through a tour put on by the director out there, and so we invited this group to also come. So hopefully we'll see a group of guys out there Saturday morning, and I'm going to report back to you and let you know how that's come out, and to begin to start to put boots on the ground and make some positive change. One of the things we discussed was racism is such a big, horrible problem. How do you get your arms around it? And it's sort of like, how do you eat an elephant? And it's that one bite at a time. So we may not be able to shoot the whole elephant, but gosh, we really do want to start taking some bites out of the elephant. And we do that as individuals, and we do that by being very, very intentional. So have a wonderful week, and hopefully I'll be able to report next week on how it went at the Youth Detention Center. And bless all you folks, and thanks for tuning in.